vitally important that our students across the district in every single school have teachers and leaders and other community figures who look like that. There is research that is well documented the additional impact that folks can have when students look to them and realize I can be them, and they have those role models. So what that looks like from a leadership perspective is that in every opportunity to hire somebody, that we make sure we have a diverse pool of candidates, whether that's teachers or principals or central office staff. There's extra work that we all should be doing to make sure that every pool of candidates is a diverse one, so that we can select the best and most diverse staff that we could possibly have within Hamilton County. I think that also looks like setting some goals around diversity and recognizing that this will be a long-term process toward orienting the district to setting goals around diversity. But it matters, and the research says that it matters, and I think I would do everything possible to make sure that that we had a diverse staff that was representative of our students.
Mr. Tefton, would you like? No. Okay. Mr. Elsie, Steve Highlander, District 9. And I do, my daughter has a graduate degree from Wake Forest, so I appreciate your background there. We, as a school board, you've been coming in making a lot of administrative decisions, but for us as a school board, how would you feel about partnering with us in getting advice and knowing specific districts and information in districts and in the county in general? How would you feel about that?
Oh, it's absolutely critical. So one of the very first things I would do is meet with every board member and learn a few things. One, learn how you come to this work. This is an incredible sacrifice that every single one of you is making. I deeply respect anybody who runs for elected school board because it takes a lot of time and it's often a thankless job. But obviously you're here for a reason. And so I want to understand what are those issues that you care most about? How do you think that the district, the county, can improve education for all kids? What are the priorities that you think are most important for the district forward? And what is your experience? What are the expect to work with the superintendent, and what are the you don't expect to work with the superintendent? Us getting on the same page individually and as a group is making sure we the district forward with one message and one set of goals. I also think, admittedly, I have a lot to learn about Hamilton County, and so you all clearly have strong ties to the community, and so I would look forward in the very early stages of the superintendency of getting out and meeting you, but also as many folks as possible to learn about all of the opportunities and challenges that Hamilton County brings and leverage those learnings to create the best district we possibly can. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, this is Rhonda Thurman, District 1. I see here that it said that you had dual missions of creating equity and providing quality options for all students. What kind of options did you offer students? Did you do things like open enrollment, let kids go where they wanted to? I know there were charter schools and other kind of schools there. Give me some ideas about how exactly what you're talking about when you talk about options. What other kind of options are there? Maybe there's something we're not doing here that maybe we might consider.
Absolutely. So in addition to opening schools of different government types, but also different areas of focus, art schools and college prep schools and STEM schools, for instance. In particular, my office at Chicago Public Schools, which, by the way, was a large district, so the numbers that I'm going to give you are a little bit, will seem a little bit large, but in a district of 400,000 students, we conducted a study and learned that in Chicago at one point, we had close to 50,000 school-age students who were out of school. Yes, that is an alarming number. It's an alarming number. And that meant in Illinois, to school until you were 22. And so we had students who were anywhere between 14, 15 years old and 22 who could actually show up in a school and receive a free education and weren't. And the number of seats that we had to serve those students, and recognizing that population is usually a bit different. Sometimes they have families, they have work schedules, they have additional responsibilities outside of school. So the number of seats that we had to serve those students was somewhere around 2,500. In my time at Chicago Public Schools, we dramatically increased the number of programs that would serve students who had dropped out and wanted to come back. And by the time I left Chicago Public Schools, we had nearly 12,000 seats that were created to serve that population of students, to invite them back into school, to do so in a way that they could actually make progress toward their college or toward their high school diploma, through flexible schedules, through flexible programming, and also provide them access to the community services that many of them really truly needed. Whether it be childcare or job access or other kinds of assistance within the community. So that's what I meant when I said dramatically expanding options for students. We in fact called that office the options office, in particular because alternative schools, what they've historically been called, or dropout recovery schools, tend to have a stigma that, rather than being inviting for students, almost puts up additional walls for them because they don't want to be stigmatized. So that's what I.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Mr. Elsey. I'm Kathy, Linden, District 2.
Hi.
Go ahead and get a drink if you need to.
Hey,
Based on your knowledge of Hamilton County, what is the most significant hurdle that you think is facing our system right now? And what is a proposed solution that you would offer?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think there are a couple, and I think they're related, though. I do think, as I said earlier, student achievement is a significant hurdle, and I think that is evidenced by a couple of symptoms, if you will. Firstly, the conversations that you all and others are having with the state around the I-zone schools and performance for years, but also the portion of the district that is threatening to secede. I think those are symptomatic of a greater challenge, is that not all people within Hamilton County believe that schools serve children well and set high expectations and allow them to achieve. That is 100% fixable problem. I have done it before and certainly would love the opportunity to do that in Hamilton County. But I don't think the solution is quite as simple as sort of one here, right? I think that is a complex problem that leads to, there's a complex problem when student achievement is absent for so long in schools. One, we have to be steadfastly focused on the retention of great people. There are no doubt fantastic educators across Hamilton County. And I think we could do, as we did at the EAA and as we did in Chicago, we could do a lot more to develop teachers and leaders to be truly excellent. They should know what some of the best models out there are in education. They should know what the best practices for teacher leadership and teacher coaching are, as well as, our principals should know what some of the best instructional models and the best ways to coach teachers are. So there is a talent and coaching and development aspect of that challenge, and there is also a systems challenge around the use of data to drive instruction. And that starts, quite frankly, with the superintendent. In every single meeting that I would have around student achievement, were I to be the superintendent, we would talk about student data, and we would talk about what we're doing about it. We would build systems, as I've done here at the EAA through the school stat process that I talked about in my letter, build systems that ensure schools are looking at data on a regular basis, and they're creating smart actionable plans against that data. And this is what's important too, that when they try something that doesn't go well, that we don't beat them about the head with that, right? That we actually say, okay, so what are you gonna do differently? What have you learned from this experience? Using data as a tool for learning and growth and not as a weapon is really critical to turning around low-performing schools. And then lastly, I think, aligned with both of those things, we have to be clear about what great instruction looks like. And we have to make sure that every single one of our teachers across the district is getting great coaching feedback, that they know how to get better, and that they know what to do next in order to get better. I think oftentimes teachers are told what they're not doing well, but they're not told what they're doing well or how to build on it or what to do. And so I would make sure that all of our leaders across the district have a clear understanding of what good coaching looks like in order to improve teaching and learning across the schools and across the district.
Thank you.
Here. District 3?
Joe Smith, District 3, thank you for being here with us. It's pretty clear that you've done some research on us. I'd like to hear, based on what you've learned, what we're doing well, number one. What do you know we're doing well? And my second question is, it'll maybe be a little easier to answer, is I'd like to hear a little bit more about you. What do you do on Jack Elsey downtime? Your family, anything like that you feel comfortable sharing? I'd like to hear that.
Great. Well, I've got a 6-month-old these days, so I don't have much downtime. But I think there are a couple of things that I have heard repeatedly from people inside and outside of the state of Tennessee and those who are familiar with Chattanooga and Hamilton County writ large. The first is that the county has an enormous amount of innovation and opportunity for its citizenry. Certainly, I've read the Chattanooga 2.0 report, and I am blown away by just the amount of opportunity that exists for Hamilton County students who are just about to graduate and those who are just entering school for the first. There's a lot of promise within Hamilton County, and I think it would be my job as superintendent to make sure that every one of those students is prepared for all of those opportunities that could be available. And I think hand in hand with that is lots of folks remark about how impressive the community is. Certainly, this is a community, an education community that's faced with a lot of great debates right now. But I think the amount of civic engagement in schools and the belief that schools are important, I continue to hear time and again from everybody that is a real asset for Hamilton County. So quite frankly, it makes it a place that sounds exciting to work. And I've also heard that there are a lot of great principals and great teachers, which is certainly not something to take for granted. In terms of my downtime, so I do spend a lot of time working. I'll admit that. When I'm not working, I am spend as much time with my 6-month-old as possible. But much to I do love to golf. So if you have a golf course or two you could direct me to in the Hamilton County area, I'm open to taking recommendations.
Thank you.
We have a couple of golf sharks on the board, so you might watch out.
Great.
And now, let's see, District 4. Pardon me? Tiffany's. Okay, that's right. I did that. Okay, starting back over. Now, we're gonna start with sir will have 2 minutes, is that correct?
David did not ask.
Oh, I'm sorry. I offered him.
He asked him, yes.
So how long you wanna have, Scott?
Let's do 2 minutes.
Okay, we'll have 2 minutes on this one, please, sir. Starting again with Ms. Mosley Jones.
In my first question, you mentioned that people was one of the top priorities, and you thought we need to address that. So you also talked a little bit in another question about retention of our quality teachers and quality administrators. And we do have a decline yet, which you talked about as well. how would you plan to address that turnover or retention in our district?
Absolutely. So one, we have to be public about the fact that we are trying to retain our best people. And two, we have to build in expectations for leaders to be having conversations about and with all of their teachers and all of their staff members on a regular basis about, what we can do better within the work environment, asking them if they feel challenged, if they feel like they're being developed, and then providing both as a district, but also equipping principals with the ability to provide teachers with differentiated and varied opportunities that they think will be professionally fulfilling to them. And that's absolutely important. I would also say, though, that at the EAA, we have developed a career ladder for our educators. So our educators can be model teachers, lead teachers, master teachers, and then small learning community leaders. And at every step along their way, they have greater responsibility for coaching and developing others. Those opportunities are mission critical to making sure that people understand there are opportunities for greater responsibilities built into the fabric of the talent management system within the district.
Thank you. District
Thank
six?
you.
I'm good on this one, that's fine.
Okay, pass to 7, please.
Mr. Ellis, this is Joe Wingate again, District 7. Obviously, you've worked in some very large school systems. We think we're in a large school system, but it's not nearly as large as yours. How do you see your experience translating here?
Well, I work large and small school systems. So the current school system, we're turning around 15 schools right now with 6,000 students. That is certainly a far cry from 400,000 students within Chicago Public Schools. I think in either setting, and certainly in a setting in between like Hamilton County, it is important to always, one, be people focused, whether it's focused on 10,000 people or 300 people. It is really important to understand who are our highest performers, how do we retain them, how do we make them want to be in Hamilton County for the long term doing the work that they do best. Secondly, it's important to be strategic anywhere, regardless of the size. It is important to use data. It is important to ask probing questions of that data and get to the root causes of the most significant problems and solve them. That is an approach that translates no matter the size. And then thirdly, I think the work in Chicago and in Detroit Public Schools was really about systems thinking. How do I move large offices, large systems, large groups of people in order to get them oriented around the right mission and vision, right set goals, and drive progress toward those goals? Here at the EAA, it's been about systems thinking, but it's also been about deeply understanding the challenges day to day that schools that are historically low performing face, and how to address those problems from a bus isn't showing up on time every morning kind of problem, right? But all the way to how do I make sure my principal candidates in front of them every single week.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Steve Highlander again, sir. Quickly, how do you feel about what can you do and what have you done with the special needs students, inclusion and so forth, and fitting them into the overall system? What successes have you had with that particular subgroup?
Yeah, that's a great question and an important one. One, I oversee special education right now for the EAA. I worked very closely with our diverse learners department, students with special needs in Chicago Public Schools, because in Chicago, the schools that were housed in my office, if you will, their special education programs were run by Chicago Public Schools and by our offices. I think it's important, one, to understand who is in your special education program, who is being identified for special education year over year, and are there some populations that are overrepresented that should? That's an equity issue, that is a civil rights issue. I think every student should deeply understand about their district. I think we've done it here at the EAA. We've had no violations over the past few years here in any of the federal or state laws. And I think that is also about, I have a great special education director who used to work at the state for years. I also think, I see you waving there, I also think there's a priority around include. That we have to make sure that every one of our students has access to expectations, highest quality expectation possible. And so I would want to do a full review of what our special education services look like as a district and make sure that we are preparing our students for the best possible outcome when they graduate.
Thank you.
Did Tiffany have another question?
She did not, she said one.
She just said that one. Okay, well, this, that's probably a little bit too much to go into here, but it's just kind of intriguing to me. It says, we created an equitable funding structure for all charter, contract, and alternative schools, moving all schools into a single seamless accountability system. Of course, here, we have a formula about how we have to fund charter schools and things like that. What exactly does that mean?
Yeah, when I came into Chicago Public Schools, charter and contract and alternative schools were funded not only via a different formula than traditional district schools, but typically they were underfunded by as much as $1,000 per student or more in some cases. My office there served 60,000 students who showed up to school every day, and it's my belief that regardless of governance structure, children deserve equitable resources. And so we took the opportunity to go through, as a district, a student-based budgeting process. And within that process, we were able to ensure that our schools that were governed a little bit differently than the district-run schools received an equitable amount of funding as every other school in the district.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Two?
What are the three most significant components that make a school system successful? And what role does the superintendent play in facilitating achievement of these components?
That's a great question. I think the first component is an orientation toward and as I said earlier, the superintendent sets the tone in every meeting, in every interaction. We have to be about, as a district, what our students are achieving in the classroom. It doesn't always mean, by the way, test scores. I think some people hear that and they think it's just it's just about test scores. It's not. It's also about how are they demonstrating their learning in the arts? How are they demonstrating their learning in other non-tested subjects? How are they interacting with others and adopting the right core values, et cetera, right? So I think an orientation toward outcomes is two, excuse me. Two is a people-first orientation, and that means that no matter what function, whether it's in the central office or schools or even with parents, that it is about teams. We have to believe in the power of a team to come to the right set of solutions for the most significant challenges that the district faces and address those challenges successfully. And then thirdly is, many educators forget that we work for students and parents. And so we must involve the community at every step along the way. And in fact, we cannot do a good job if we don't successfully involve the community at every step along the way.
Thank you.
District 3, Mr. Smith, you have one?
You had mentioned in your cover letter about in-home visits. Can you speak to that a little bit? That's interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mentioned this a little bit earlier. We discovered quite early on, we were facing challenges that lots of large districts face and lots of urban districts face around attendance, some truancy issues, excuse me, some truancy issues, and some disengagement with school. And so district-wide, we trained our willing teachers and leaders to go out into the community and do home visits for students that they selected in order work to build closer relationships with parents and guardians and understand a little bit better some of the challenges that students were facing at home and in their communities. Those visits were so powerful. We had teachers who came back and said, I now know why, so-and-so hasn't been coming to school. I now know exactly how I can best communicate. And in many ways, I think we eliminated a lot of frustration on both the parent side and the school side by helping folks understand each other a little bit better and work toward a common solution for the student.
Thank you. So I believe that, is that?
I'll ask a question.
Mr. Testman.
It may have already been asked, I don't know. David Testman, District 8. Looking at your resume, I see the last 6-7 years you've been at 3 different positions in 3 various parts of the country. And I really feel that our county needs somebody who wants to come and hang around a while. And I question, why a person would want to move that often. And you're going to have to convince me you're going to come here to stay and that you got enough skills to do the job that we have here. And because believe me, buddy, it is going to be a tough job.
I respect, and that is a fair comment, Mr. Chesterman. As I said, I have a 6-month-old at home, and I'm hoping my next move is one that lasts a long time. It's my absolute goal in my career to be a long-standing superintendent of a district. That has been the terminal goal of my career since I realized I wanted to be a superintendent, which was a little bit after my time in the classroom. It's my hope that we are able to form a relationship and agree upon a set of goals and a strategy toward improving Hamilton County for the long term. And I think, to your point, that requires stability. That requires having somebody who you can rely on year in and year out to drive toward the right outcomes for the district. It hasn't always been my choice to move. I'll just say that the EAA, the current district that I work for, it goes away June 30th. We did not make it into state law, and so as a turnaround district, our schools actually go back to Detroit Public Schools come June 30th. So I have a deep commitment to children. I have a deep commitment to the organizations I work for. And I would be honored to serve as long as you would have me in Hamilton County.
Our timekeeper says we have time for another question, if anyone has one. If not, I'll ask, how do you feel that your time with the Teach for America and the Broad Academy would help you in our situation here?
Yeah, like any program, it opened doors to new relationships, to new ways of thinking about things, and strictly across work that I could leverage whenever we had challenge in the various places that I've been. I think my time in Teach for America was really learning about how critical great teachers are to schools, and that's not just my time as a Teach for America Corps member, but when I placed Teach for America Corps members in 300 schools across New York City. I was having daily conversations with principals across the city about just how critical having a high-quality teacher in every single classroom was to their success. I think my time with the Broad Center, similarly, I think, helped me to build a larger network of colleagues and other practitioners who are doing this work across the country, and certainly folks who phone call away where there's a problem that I haven't faced before, or maybe a best practice that they're using that we haven't adopted before, and they've always been helpful to providing those resources in the past.
Thank you so much. We would like to give you 4 or 5 minutes for either a summation or for questions that you would like to ask us.
Great. I have one question, but I just want to start by saying thank you for the opportunity to interview. Questions to be insightful, and certainly what I believe to be the important ones district. So thank you, and I'm humbled to be invited here in the first place. My question is, what do you see as the most critical attribute that the next superintendent has? And what do you hope that the superintendent takes on first when they start in June or July?
Good questions. Who would like to answer that? Start out with that. Most critical attribute, I believe you said, did you not? Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Mosley Combs?
I personally think that the navigating the political waters here is a very big attribute. You're gonna need to be very keen ability to do that. It can become very trying at times, to get everybody on board and on the same page to support what we as a board know is most important, and that's to ensure that all of our children have access to a quality education. So it's hard to get the other bodies sometimes to be on the same page as us. And for me, the first thing I would like to see addressed coming in would be the issues of the priority schools and the schools that are on the cusp, to get them where they have to be. Because we all know that students can be in high poverty situations, but it doesn't mean they have to be low performing, they need to be high performing. And so that's my biggest desire.
Anyone else?
I think being, open with the community about what's going on, I mean, whether they like the news or whether they don't like the news, I think being open and honest and telling people the truth, and no matter how ugly it is, that's one thing that I look for, just to be honest with them. People can usually handle the truth if you give it to them. They may not like it, but they can usually handle it, and that's a big and important thing to me.
Anyone else? Any other questions, sir, or comments?
Just that I agree with both of those approaches. I think it is critical that we tell the truth to folks. I completely agree. Transparency is critical, and I know it sounds like has been something that the county community has been hoping for a while. So I certainly would hope to operate with all transparency. My only other question is, what are your hopes for the outcome? What do you hope beyond student achievements every student walks away with upon graduation at Hamilton County?
Ms. Jones again?
For me, that they're ready for whatever real world option they choose for themselves. Be it post-secondary education, career and technical, military, entrepreneurship, whatever it is they want to do, I hope that we have equipped them with the skills they need to be able to move forward in that direction.
Agreed, very much so.
You know, sometimes I think we concentrate, and we have a lot of people jump on me, but for me, that's nothing new. But I think sometimes we concentrate too much on the low-performing schools. We have some kids who are very bright, and some of our other schools that really want to learn. And sometimes I think that they get left behind in all this conversation. You know, I want to, for the ones that are wanting education and show up to school every day and really have something on the ball, we need to give them plenty of options as well, and also give them all the tools that they need to succeed and to really soar, because a lot of these kids, I think, are just kind of getting left behind while we're worrying about the low achievement schools. Some of our other kids are just kind of being held back when really we should be concentrating just about as much on them as the other students.
I would just, serving all kids means serving all kids, truly. So I agree with you there. That is important.
Thank you so much, sir. We appreciate it. You may have won some support with that orange and white you picked out. Thank you very much. We appreciate your interview. A great deal. Sorry, I do a little tongue in cheek.
Yeah, I would have bet.
I don't know if that was planned or not. He made that as almost.
That's not Michigan color.
No, Michigan State.
Genuinely being
It's not green, it's not purple. I noticed that right
You
quick.
got Michigan, you have a Michigan from Michigan.
I didn't wear a tie.
Joe, bring me a water.
Yeah, he's only five.
Bring me a water.
Where you want to go?
Located right off I-85 and 40.
Yeah, we want to get rid of them.
No, and 84. 74. You know, you 74 is right through there. Yeah, it goes down to, the other side of the road. You know where you come down 77? 77, where you go too sharp.
I'll see Joe.
74,
Be careful.
Want to graduate.
77, you take it to the right.
How's your dog?
And then it scoots on down Ashford to,
We do, you know, push it to real.
Ron, do you leave?
She told us her grandbaby was graduating. Yeah, my grandbaby was graduating.
But thank goodness she's doing okay right now, she's been okay the past couple of weeks.
We did.
I'm taking it.
You gonna be his working Brent?
You can't get brats.
Good trip so far.
Well, all I know is that I don't have brats, he's got it. You can't use it. It's not drum. So,
The other day they tried to get us to take it from.
but Brent won't give it. I'm not mistaken, he won't give it to you if you try to take it, so. He's like, good luck with that. No, I've been sitting out there in the hallway for the past like 20 minutes waiting, because I had to wait till it switched out.
Okay.
I love that they want to call me. I said, okay, well, I did this last week and I wasn't on call, so. I did that. Phone call is irrelevant, was irrelevant. Finish your line, I forgot mine.
Alright, I'm eating veggies and cookies. Look at me, I'll help you.
I'm leaving, I was sitting right there.
Selling it or you renting it or
No.
you give it to
Giving
the
it
free
away.
charity?
Yeah.
Charity seats, I like that. Yeah, no, that's right. This rain like that.
I'm good, how are you?
Or what you talking to me about?
Yeah.
I heard.
Sam's today.
You have reporters, right? And your returns are closed.
Oh, yeah, my charger's right here. Mike, how are you?
Like ETV education.
Mine is, I just.
You're like education.
I am. Not for much longer.
You're like the TV version of her.
Been a while.
Yeah, well, it's just, you know, I knew there was,
Well, that's.
there's something too far apart for it to make sense. So how do you do it? Don't think.
turn left.
That's all I'm thinking.
You get back to the courthouse. You was not legal. It's on the right. And it's in the back. It's in the back.
All of us do, that was one of the first things you said. Yes, yes. You are now.
Channel 12, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
I had to comment. If we have time. Only if we have time. Sign format. Excuse me. 3.5.
Kelly, you want some water? That's okay. Hey, somebody needs to. Guess where?
This is my evening meal.
Or you can get some more for your lunch. Not too many people eating tonight. I'm gonna go in there, Kurt, go make sure everything works on it.
Sure, sure.
I have since we're connected and everything's working, and I'll come back.
Sure. Is he gonna do that, his office?
Yeah, we tested it today, it works okay. There's no, like, at first we had some feedback, but we made some adjustments, and so we have any feedback.
They're making a decision today, or this will be next time?
Make the final my decision of Thursday.
Helps me out.
Oh, Thursday, huh?
Yeah. And I have to go back to it. Then we're gonna call it the live event notice, notice.
Alright, they're in between the, like, are they trying to do a live look?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm live, but,
Got 2 minutes, folks.
Yeah, that will be good.
who was saying that?
Emily.
And they can see when I'm on the IFB, right?
Whatever's going on there, Big Daddy.
Name today.
So you've got the meeting? Okay. Thank you.
You go right here, I tried to get in that candy last week.
I like it.
Darn, I'm right here for you.
Didn't you come to
Diagnosed today with diabetes.
elementary school to do a thing this morning? Gerald didn't see you there?
See, she's on that, on all of it. Because it wasn't there, get her exercise.
I swear he told me you
Hello.
were.
I said about 2 minutes, so yeah.
Very fun.
I think they're about to call.
They don't listen to
Hey,
anything.
we come out.
They never listen to anything you say. Literally just like,
I know they have, officially.
I'm calling you, man.
You're calling him.
You called up, you called up.
And your call was back.
You work for 3, right?
Coach Galloway, we'll be starting with you on
That's
this
what
one.
Cindy.
Just to let you know.
Davis, she said hi.
In other words, you're the lead officer in this,
what, last
in this
week?
game.
One,
Got it.
We understand that terminology, don't we, Coach Wingate?
I didn't see much of that this year, I don't know, I didn't see that lead off there.
Yeah.
Trying to recruit one, didn't see one.
You're batting second, so.
You gotta try it out.
You get to college level, they better have something. You watch when they count. Here we go, guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I gotta make sure my volume. Dr. Highlander, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can.
Okay,
We certainly can.
how is the picture?
Are
Are
you
you able
saying,
to see me?
we can see you well, sir.
Okay, thanks.
You're right in the center of the screen. I will say, Dr. Kelly, we thank you for your application, and we'd like to offer you 4 or 5 minutes of introduction and what you would like to tell us why you would, if you would please, apply for the job as superintendent.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Highlander. I'm a Chattanooga native, went to school at elementary school, Sunnyside Elementary, Brainerd Junior High School, Brainerd High School, and was in involved in extracurricular activities while at Brandon High School and was fortunate enough to get a basketball and tennis scholarship to go to Chattanooga State, and then went 2 years to Chattanooga State, and after Chattanooga State was still fortunate enough to get a athletic scholarship to play volleyball at UTC. So I finished my bachelor's at UTC and then master's at UTC. And in 1982, started teaching mathematics at Orchard Junior High School and coaching girls athletics. And did that for 4 years, and then went to Tyner Junior High School and did athletics, baseball, basketball, helping out with it, and taught math there for 3 years. And then after that, went to Hickson High School as an assistant principal, and then to Alton Park Middle School as a principal up until the time of the merger, and went, I guess, 6 months prior to the merger to Central Office for Drug Abatement, and then to Chattanooga High School as assistant principal, and then was selected to be the director for standards and accountability under Jesse Register. And then after Jesse Register, midway through Jesse Register's tenure, that changed to accountability and testing. Started out as a curriculum position and then moved into a data accountability and testing, and then continued with Jim Scales and then with Superintendent Vic Smith, and was each time through each one of those was able to receive a promotion, going from a director level 1 to a director level 2 with Jesse Register, and then from a director level 2 to a director level 3 with Jim Scales, and then was promoted in 2015 to assistant superintendent. And shortly after that, Rick Smith resigned and applied to be the co-acting superintendent, and then later was selected as an interim superintendent. So I have a desire to serve this county, to serve this community, and to serve this school system. And so at that time, I felt it was with the experience that I had and background, a varied background in a lot of different locations, I felt it was an opportunity for me to step up and actually provide leadership and help to the district. And so that was my desires as going in for interim superintendent, and that is my desires, is to help to move the district even further as a superintendent. And in terms of family life, have 3 daughters, all products of the county, the school, public school system, involved in athletics and been involved in the community activities all throughout their lives, and also married to an educator. She teaches mathematics and reading at East Hamilton High School. So that's really a commitment that we have as a family, and so I want to make sure that we're in a good place as a community and as a school system. So that was my desires for starting.
Thank you, sir, very much. We will start with District 6, Mr. Galloway.
Yes, Dr. Kelly, I would have not guessed over 30 years ago when you walked into Lookout Valley as a student teacher that I'd be sitting here on the school board and you'd be applying for the superintendent 30-something years later. But I do want to ask you, I know we're losing teachers. I know that we've got a lot of teachers we've got to hire. How do you feel about the direction we're going with that, and what exactly is being done to keep the best ones? Because we want to keep them, and that's always a struggle.
Okay, first of all, let me say thanks, because you did a great job of getting me started out as a student teacher. Thank you for that. Yes, one of the things that we have been looking at doing is making sure that, one, that we have a competitive environment, competitive salary. And so I want to thank the school board for actually providing money this year, $7.8 million in terms of teacher salaries, so that we can stay competitive with the larger school districts around the state. The other piece that we're looking at doing is the environment. And I'm going to use an example. One is Eastside Elementary School. And the reason I'm selecting Eastside probably over the 20 plus years has had 2 administrators. And so they've had consistency in their administration, and they have been able to provide good staff development and in a good work environment. And so that's what we're looking to do with all of our schools. So one of the things that we're doing is looking at providing professional development that meets the needs of our teachers and our educators, our administrators, making sure that their work environment is going to be one that's conducive to where they want to come and be a part of each and every day. And so with those adjustments, we feel that we will be able to reduce the number of people who are wanting to leave. Now, we will have people that are reaching age 30 years of service, and they'll want to retire, but we're looking to actually retain more of the people that we actually start out with. For this upcoming year, we're going to be looking at exit. We're going to start an exit criteria for all of our employees who want to leave to find out why they're wanting to leave so that we can make adjustments and make it even better. Another point to add to this is throughout what we have been doing for the last 15 months is actually going through and doing focus groups with teachers, focus group administrators, and creating support for them and making adjustments based on what they are telling us they actually need to be better at their craft. So we're trying to do everything that we can to make it a very good work environment to help and support our educators in terms of keeping them employed with Hamilton County Department of Education.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Kelly, Joe Wingate,
Hey, how you doing, Mr. Wingate?
I'm well, how are you?
Doing good.
My question is in regards to the Hamilton County Department of Education. There are many in the community that have developed a mistrust, also have a negative perception of the school system. Why do you think that is? Where do you think that has come from?
That may have came from some past interactions with the school system, but let me tell you what we have been able to do over the last 15 months, and that is one, right at this end of last school year, we hired a communications coordinator. And that communications coordinator has been sending information out to the board, to the principals, to the teachers, and to the community. So the other piece that we're doing is our books are open. We're sharing everything that we have done. For another example of this is we actually went through with sharing with the county mayor about the fund balance. And we basically listed here's everything that we have. It shows that you may see $63 million on the books. But when you actually look at it, it brings it down to $43 million, and we just spent close to around $10 million. So we only had $33 million. So what we're trying to do is be open in communicating with all of our all aspects of the community to make sure that that perception goes away. And so that's what we're going to continue to do is to reach out and make a difference. We've had community meetings, and here's the thing that I started this year. We're having a parent advisory that meets quarterly, and that's every school is represented with the parent advisory group, and that's to get input from the parents. We have a teachers advisory group, and this light's gonna go off from time to time, so I'll have to move to get it to come back on, so bear with me.
Dr. Kelly, make sure you mention the energy efficiency of your.
Let me go back. We got a parent advisory meeting, and that group is starting to get good turnout. We got good information from those parents, making investments with them. We have a teachers advisory group that I meet with each and every month, and also a student advisory group that I meet with each and every month. So again, we're taking all of this feedback into consideration and being honest, here's what's going on, and trying to address the public and to make adjustments each and every time that we can. It's going to make things better. So we're fighting that perception, and we're going to do everything that we can to address it without having anything to hide.
Thank you.
Dr. Kelly, Mrs. Robinson could not be here due to work, so am I not next? She's not next, Ms. Robinson?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I said it's Mr. Testman next, isn't it? I'm sorry.
I have no question.
Mr. Testman does not have questions, so we'll come to me, Dr. Kelly. You're right, gotta get out of order here. Steve Highlander, District 9. How do you feel, Dr. Kelly, about partnering with the school board in making many of the decisions that you've made, that you will be making, both at the county level and at our specific district, where we are pretty close in touch with the people who have elected us?
I definitely look to partner with the school board in trying to have an open door and reach out and communicate each and everything that we're doing with the school board. And one of the things that I would say is working with the school board. Think back when the school board had its strategic plan. We actually worked through the strategic plan that the school board created 6 focus areas that the school board was interested in, and we're making sure that those 6 areas go into action. And let me tell you what we're going to do, so that school board strategic plan is a living document. Next week, starting on Tuesday, we're going to actually have our principals come together with their leadership teams, and they're going to take one of the 6 items, great teachers, engage students every day, strong foundation for literacy, math, and actual science, building our cultures and values and preparing students for career in college and closing the achievement gap. Each one of those schools is going to take one of those and make it their signature initiative. And so what that's going to actually mean is when you walk into a school, they're going to say, not only are we working on all of the strategic plan, but here's a place where you can see great teachers or great leaders. Here's a place where you can see great student engagement. Or here's a place where you can see Singapore math or great literacy going on. But each school will have a signature initiative that they're going to embrace as a school community, giving them the autonomy to be able to select whatever initiative they want. And that way, this document that you all have put so much hard work and effort into will be a living document, so that it's not something that you put on the shelf, but people will be coming back to it. You'll be able to walk up to a principal and say, what's your signature initiative? And they will be able to tell you. So they're going to work on that on Tuesday, and then on Wednesday, sort of around midday, they're going to actually be presenting to the big group what's going to be the signature initiative that they have for their school. In terms of working with the county mayor, we spent countless hours with him and his staff working on the budget presentation, so much so that he had all the information and material that he needed to actually provide a presentation to the community, and that was a work between the two of us working alignment together. And so all of the aspects of the community we're looking to work with, because we need all the support that we can get. So we're not trying to alienate anyone, but definitely wanting to work with school board members to make sure that all of the things that you all are wanting to accomplish, we can do it. And I think one of the great ways that we can do it is through the use of the strategic plan and really making it a focus, which we plan to do, and it becomes a living document.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Thurman had to leave, I believe, so Ms. Lane?
Hi, Dr. Kelly, how are you
Good.
tonight? In your opinion, what exactly does a successful superintendent look like?
Successful superintendent looks like a person who is creating a great leadership team, and I feel that we have been able to create a good team. We're gelling together as a team through the time that we have been together. We've been able to put some good initiatives in place where we been able to do some restructuring. Let me give an example of a turnaround initiative. When we first came in, we had one person who was over all of the literacy. That's a large monumental task going from grade K all the way to 12. And so what we were able to do is do a retirement, actually expand that without any additional cost to the board, and actually created 3 positions where we got a person who's working with pre-K 3 literacy grades 4 through 8 and then 9 through 12. And so that's a different approach, but that's the type of leadership that we needed to make that transition, and the results are good. We went from a 1 in 2015, the lowest TVOS score that you can have, to a 5 after this last year in high school TVOS. So not only did the change, and it was not just change for the sake of change, but it brought about a positive result. So superintendent's going to be looking for ways to provide additional resources to our school. Another example of that would be the ability to actually look for savings. We looked for savings, and I was out meeting with people in the community and with teachers, and they were indicating that they needed support with plan instruments. And so we were able to actually to move savings from one area and actually provide each and every school money to actually enhance their performing arts and their band equipment. And so all of that is listening and looking for ways to provide resources to our schools to make them much better. But an effective superintendent, given the size that we have in Hamilton County, must have a good leadership team. And so I feel that we've moved in the right direction with getting a good leadership team. We made some great changes that are really in line with what our educators need to make them better. So that's part of the job is being a leader. The other piece of being a leader is actually to really have us moving in the right direction. And so an example of us moving in the right direction is going to be the reinvestment that we got to Volkswagen with the ELAB. Volkswagen actually had purposed that money at a state level and repurposed to actually come into Hamilton County. That's part of the work that they're doing. They brought $1 million into us for the ELABs. So as superintendent, I'm looking for ways that are going to move us, also looking for ways to make sure that we are doing everything we can to have great teachers and great leaders in our schools. Trying to be a good steward of the resources that we have. And one of the things to do is to look at using that money and to be able to push it to the schools as often as possible. And so that was the reason for us looking at using fund balance this year, and that was to actually take care of our needs that we have, necessary needs like roofing and other stuff that was vital that needed to be done. And also to think out of the box. Working with, and this sort of goes back to what Dr. Holland said, but earlier, working with Mr. Testament, we were actually able to go into an agreement where we could get additional support for the East Ridge community. So all of those are things that we're looking to do, or I'm looking to do as a superintendent to move us forward.
Thank you.
Back to the picture.
Thank you. And thank you for saving us money with electricity. Okay, Joe Smith, District 3.
Hey, Dr. Kelly, thank you for being here with us tonight.
Thank you.
Let me ask you, a lot of talk right now about the state's proposal to partner with us in his partnership zone. And if I understood all that correctly, and I think you were in the same meeting that I was in, they're wanting to have control of that board and control of whoever runs that board. So essentially, the state would have control over those schools. That is my take on the way that was presented the other night. So two-part question, was that your understanding? And if that was your understanding, what are your feelings about that?
Okay. In conversations with Dr. McQueen throughout the time, basically she has presented that there are two options. One option is that there are two schools, that is Brainerd and Orchard. Actually, all 5 are eligible for ASD, but 2 schools, Brainerd and Orchard, would be looking to move what she would say is immediately into the ASD, which would be a complete state takeover of those 2 schools. The second option is the option of a partnership, which involves all 5 of the schools that have historically been underperforming, and that would move to a governance. Now, 3 issues that actually come into play into this. And so one issue is what you have been stating, that is a board that would be created. And from time to time, this size of this board, the commissioner has indicated it has changed. At first it was 10, and now the information that was presented to the school board the other night was 7. But you're correct, the state is looking at, since there is an urgent need to actually have the majority of that board, and so whether it's 7 or whether it's 9 or 10, they're looking at having a majority. The second issue of this one is the actual finances that actually come into play. And so what you saw was BEP financing, what the district is doing, what there may be available money from partners. And I think the indication was that there would be $1 million for the first year we're planning, 500,000 after that. And then, in essence, the district would actually not have that money available in years 4 and 5. It's looking at a 5-year deal. Another major component of this is what's called an MOU, or the Memorandum of Understanding. And that is where, if the board elects to go into this process, this is where all of the details will be ironed out. one of the things that was maybe not made as clear to you all and we need additional information on is actually the instructional piece. But throughout the memorandum of understanding, as we'll let you go into it, everything would be negotiated with Attorney Bennett and with the state's attorney, Mr. Ballard. So your question to me, it was, how do I feel about it? If we're with the ASD, I feel that's the worst thing that we can do for our schools. I don't think that it has had the success across the state, and especially with a high, from Brainerd to high school, so I don't think it would be successful for Brainerd or for Archinal. And so, the one thing we do have, we signed a letter of intent. That means that we can go into negotiations with these, and if the negotiations do not work in to the liking of the board, we can actually not do it. So the board has that liberty. So that's something that I would suggest that maybe what the board needs to do is look at going into this possibility, into the MOU, into discussions with it. And if it's not favorable to the board at that point, we can stop all of the interaction. But I feel that the worst thing that we can do is the ASD, and I know that Joanne Favor's numbers brought up a third option. I don't know if that is one that the commissioner is looking at, and that is to actually continue the ISO. But that's basically where we are. And I think the work of this will be the negotiation portion of the MOU for that partnership.
Thank you. Dr. Kelly, this is Steve Highlander, I'm speaking for Mrs. Robinson. If you were made the permanent superintendent, what changes would you implement in the first 90 days of your new role?
Okay, one of the things that I can say is I've had a 90 days and have been able to actually hit the ground running. And that was actually really starting in after the transition back in April. And then being able to go through all of the planning through the summer. So if I'm selected as the superintendent one, we're looking at starting next week, which is actually starting next Tuesday. So we're beginning a week. One is working with schools as they select their signature initiatives. The second piece would be throughout this would be closing out the budget for this year. And that is, we still are working with the county commission to see if there's going to be any funding for priority 1, priority 2, or priority 3, and if we need to make any adjustments so that we are up and set and running. The other piece is we have a huge stack of information that we need to share with teachers, and that is all the professional development that is planned for the summer, making sure that that is going to occur, and that's going to be what the teachers need. And then toward the end of the summer will be our summer retreat with our principals, making sure that they're up and ready to go come August, and so that we have set them up for success throughout the summer with the planning piece. Here's another thing that also must occur within a very short time, and that is we have a retirement at one of our high schools. We have another, one of our elementary schools, we have a retirement. And then we have at an elementary school, the principal is actually relocated to another city, so we got to do principal hires. And so I'm going to do everything possible to make sure that we have limited mass turnover this year so that we can have stability. And so that gets us sort of up until August where we're ready to open school. And so at that point, we're making sure also ABM, we got to make sure that ABM's contract is going to work, and so we got clean buildings that are going to be up and ready to go. 8 of our schools have received that money from Volkswagen for e-labs, and so we're going to make sure that the e-labs are up and running, and so that they've already been set up and up and ready to go when the teachers walk into the buildings. And so all of those things will happen within the next 90 days. We have a plan and a timeline to make sure that everything is accomplished by August. And so that still leaves us some time where we actually have in August. So we'll start our training in August and September. We're going to have networks, networking groups, principals. We got principals who are going to be new. We got our new principals where we're going to continue to provide support to them. We're also going to provide those principals who may be seasoned principals. We're working with them, and then we'll also have to be working through the planning process, because regardless of what we do as a board, the commission has indicated that there will be some action in a planning year whether we do ASD or the partnership. So we'll have to be also be working through it to make sure that you all have all the information that you need, and we're researching the best ways that this is going to be beneficial for our students and for our teachers and for our administrators. So that's really the good piece about this is since I've been here and working with you all, we've been able to establish a leadership team, so we don't have to go through the process of re-establishing it. We've also been working with you all to create a strategic plan, and so now we're simply making sure that strategic plan can be implemented, and everybody has the resources that they need to go forward.
Thanks, sir. Ms. Mosley Jones?
Hello, Dr. Kelly.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. We know that when you, became interim superintendent, in that leadership role, you walked into, quite of a bit of an onion. And ever since you've been peeling back the layers of that onion, we know that this requires you to do several things. So I want you to kind of talk about when faced with situations where it requires you to immediately address it, or thinking outside of the box, or doing something innovative. Give us an example, or talk a little bit about how you've done that and how you plan to continue to do that or enhance what you're doing to be that change agent that we're looking for.
Yes, one of the things that when there's a situation that comes up is to pull together the leadership team, inform the board of the situation, and we start working through issues as to what's going to be the best way to address this, looking at all aspects of it. The situation with that occurred with Woodmore is an example of it. Being able to address it, making sure that we could do everything that we could for the families, and that is also negotiating with Durham at the time to make sure that the families would be provided with some resources, and the school would be provided with some resources. And so one aspect of it is actually addressing it, working through with it, receiving all of the information that is going to be possible, and then sharing it and really setting an action plan. The change agent that we're going to actually need is going to be one that's going to move us forward. It's going to take in consideration research and training. Let me talk about the literacy program for a moment again, and that is actually with guided reading. We've had guided reading for some time, but actually coming in and doing an analysis of it, found that we were not fully implementing it. And so the question was, is it a good model? Yes, we were evaluating it. It's a good model, but we have to implement it. And so we set into place structures that would allow us to fully implement it. And so what we have been able to do is actually go to the schools and do embedded training. And we've had over 773 actual training sessions in the schools that have been beneficial to our teachers to make sure that they understand what that model is and able to use it. If they have any questions, we will be able to solve those questions. The other part of this is working with the school board and also analyzing our budget to make sure that with these models that we're putting in place, that we're going to be able to provide resources. So we have provided resources in terms of materials, level books for all of our schools so that they can better implement that model. So as superintendent, I feel that I'll be able to actually move even more boldly in terms of making good moves that are going to be in the best interest of our students and our teachers to provide them with support. We know that reading is issue. Another place that we're working on is science. And so what we've seen is with the requirements for state testing to be in literacy and math, we've seen a slump in the interest in science. So one of the things that we have done is saying we need to make a change. And so as a change agent, we have started to work with the schools to provide better resources so that they can better science. And this is where you have seen the request. We have started the program that is growing, but we got more students involved in robotics. And here's an initiative that started this year. I know the time is running short on this, but I got to make this one. And that is, this year is the first year that we started an out-of-the-box pilot program that's been a major success, and that is the Academy of Volkswagen. the BW Academy started this year, and it's been a success, and we're gonna, expand it at Chattanooga State. We're also gonna have the Start Learn and Earn program, which is gonna provide resources to students who are struggling, with work or with personal needs, and that's gonna help them better stay in school. So all of these, being planned and will be up and running, in August.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Wingate? I'm sorry, who's?
Galloway.
Galloway, I'm sorry, Galloway, excuse me.
Back to me already?
Yes, sir, 2 minutes.
All right.
2 minutes, sir.
Okay?
Well, let me ask this one. I didn't realize this was back on.
Go.
That's good. We've had, some talk about, from other, in our other interviews even, about, student-based budgeting. What do you think about that? How do you feel about that, Dr. Kelly? What are your thoughts? And by the way, I noticed on here that you had, I didn't know this, I've known you all those years, I didn't know you had that, business management degree, that you got many moons ago, so.
Yes. With student-based budgeting, it's a concept where we would basically go through and we would look, at students, and we would basically maybe say that each school is going to get $2,500 for every student. And then based on whether the student needs are there, maybe special ed, and you may say that that student's going to actually carry another $500. And then another situation would be if the students are free and reduced lunch students, they may get another $500. And so you actually base it on the condition. The one thing that I want to do is make sure that we're going to provide resources to all of our students. But here's the one piece that I want everybody to understand. We do not want to pull anything away from our existing schools. So what we're looking to do is hold everybody harmless so that they're not going to be hurt and they're getting the resources that they need. And then we have been using additional money to provide funds for those schools that have additional needs. And so we'll continue to do that. And you can do it from a student-based budgeting concept, or you can do it as we have done in the past, and that is more of a lump sum type amount that's going to be actually be going into the schools. A classic example of that would be what the board has allowed us to do in terms of the extra staffing and support that you've seen at Brandon High School for this last year. And so you could either do it from a student base, or you could go through and allow it to be done. Student base, and we can do this, and that is to allow the schools to select what they feel that they need and support them that way. So it's going to be really what's in the best interest of the school.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, I had the wrong Joe a minute ago. Joe Wingate, please, District 7.
Dr. Kelly, if you were to get the superintendent's position, explain to me what the development of leadership and the retaining of good leadership is going to look like.
Okay, one of the development of leadership is we're looking to expand our Principal Leadership Academy. And the other piece is that we have not had an area, but we're gonna create it and have it for this year, and that is training for new incoming assistant principals. We've had work that's been done for principals, and we're gonna expand that piece. And one of the things that we're gonna include with our principals is training for turnaround work, so that they're gonna be better fitted to actually go into. We have 5 schools that we have talked about tonight, but we have 11 other schools that's on the cusp. So we want to make sure that they're trained in turnaround work. We're continuing the work in terms of creating teacher leaders, because we want to have good leadership teams at all of our schools. We have hired this year, and this person will start July 1. We've hired a recruiter coordinator. Again, this is at no additional cost for the board. We had a retirement, and this person has recruited all over the United States, and we feel that that person would be helpful with us bringing in the best and the brightest candidates into our district. In terms of retention, we're looking to, again, make sure we got good work environments, make sure we got good training, that's second class to none, so that our people are getting their needs met and being able to actually be very productive. So, again, we're looking at all areas of research, and we're working with Vanderbilt in terms of what we can do in terms of our leadership at the principal level, at the assistant principal level, and for our teacher leaders in and our coaches. So that's bringing the research to us, and they have extensive research that they've done in Charlotte, Mecklenburg, that's going to help us make Hamilton County better.
Thank you, sir, well done. Mr. Testament?
Yes, Dr. Kelly. When you first came on as the interim superintendent, one thing that you started doing was getting out into the communities, a little more hands-on, shaking hands, talking to people and such. I too believe that that is extremely important, especially in these days when there's so much mistrust between education and the community at large. How are you going to continue doing that? How are you going to involve your staff in getting out into the communities and winning back community support for our public schools?
We will continue to do that. I think I'm getting an echo. But we will continue to do provide that, getting out, going to communities, football games, homecoming events, especially when we feel that there may be a need. You're correct. We actually went down to Marion County for a game, and we were at East Ridge High School right after we had a tragedy, in supporting that school. So that is going to be something that I'm going to be doing, and also all of my leadership team, and we'll also involve the directors so that we have more of a face out in the public. And I really feel that that is meaningful and that needs to be done. So that's something that we started last year, and you're right, it needs improvement. So we're going to look to improve it by actually being more visible in this upcoming year. And so that brings central office out actually into the community, into events. And that way, if anybody has any questions, we'll be right there to address them and being seen so that we can be seen, supporting our schools, supporting our board members as we go to event. But we plan to continue that and actually enhance it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Steve Holland, Dr. Kelly, I've got a question. Several of my constituents have asked about the literacy and math coaches, what their role is, and has that changed any under your administration? Can you explain what is important for them to do in your administration?
Yes, one thing that's important for them to do is we're trying to eliminate training where you're actually sitting and listening to someone talk for an extended period of time. We want to actually make it embedded and hands-on. So we're looking at having them to be available to actually come in and work side by side with the teacher, work in the classroom. We know that one of the things that can be done to improve our results is to actually have that embedded staff development that's at the school with the teachers, actual students. And if there is something that someone's able to do well, we want them to be able to see it actually at their school. So that is the philosophy, is to, as much as possible, have the training to occur at the school and actually with students so that the students can benefit and the person who's trying to learn a different approach can actually be involved with it and learn.
Okay, thanks, sir. Ms. Lennon?
Dr. Kelly, how are you going to promote equity among the various types of schools in our system? The urban schools, suburban schools, rural areas, diverse areas. How can we bring more equity into our system?
Looking to actually provide, and let me use that example of one is, and we did this by size, but we wanted to make sure that we were giving to every school, and that was when we gave money to the fine arts. And so what we're looking to do is address those needs that the schools may have. The other situation is when we felt the need that we had to do something to try to assist the attendance at Brainerd, we actually added additional resources at that school because there was a need there. We couldn't do it everywhere, but we were doing it where the need was. So what we're doing is with our resources and with our talents, we're going to actually look to go and provide what that community needs to make sure that it's going to make an adjustment and be able to be a much better performing organization. And so that's the reason when I talk about the student-based budgeting. I don't want to pull anything away from any school, but we want to make sure that we're meeting all of their needs and adjusting to the needs that another community and have different needs for all of the schools that we have. And we were looking to provide resources, and that was another thing that we were looking at and working with was when we get money, we wanted to make sure that we had the majority of our schools and districts that will receive this e-labs. We wanted to make sure that it is spread out so that everybody's able to participate in it. And so when we do the second round, we'll do the same. So again, what we're gonna do is take the resources that we have and look to meet the needs of the various schools and the communities based on what they're telling us they need to make themselves better.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, District 3, Joe Smith.
Dr. Kelly, I think that, part of our job as board members is to always be advocating for additional funding, and certainly since we passed a balanced budget with 3 levels of priorities, and I've been doing a lot of that, advocating to kind of hopefully make sure that we get some additional funding. An interesting question has come up 2 or 3 times that I'm unable to answer, so I need your help. And the question is, and I don't believe you were the superintendent at the time, but supposedly there were several millions of dollars that was dedicated to the iZone schools, and then, again, I don't think you were the superintendent, but you were part of that leadership team, and then we didn't spend that money. And so the question I keep getting asked is, Joe, why do we want to give the schools more money when you didn't even spend what you had? I've been asked that question a couple different times.
Let me address it. The iZone received, when they first initially started, about $11 million, which was about $2 million per year. And so we did not spend all of that money. Now, I can say this, but and it's that advocated for some different stuff, but as superintendent, I can make sure that we have gonna use the resources. The one thing that I can say that was coming on board, the main objective was to make sure that we were gonna spend the money and make sure that we're gonna use the money wisely. And so one of the things that we did was we have an attendance issue with each one of those schools. Then we put a truancy officer or an attendance person in each of the 5 schools to actually help work to improve the attendance. So as superintendent, I can say that if with the hard work of the board and the county commission, we raise the money, we're gonna make sure that we put it where it was intended to be spent, and make sure that we're doing everything to make sure that that money is going to be used to move that school to a better place in terms of achievement and overall community. And that's been the goal for what I have been doing since I was notified that we did not spend all of it with the iZone, was to actually make sure that we would spend that money and make sure that we would think through how we would spend it and put it in the areas of need. And that's going to be the process if I'm a superintendent going forward, to make sure that we're going to use all of the resources that this community has invested in us as a treasure for us to be able to make our students better.
Thank you. Ms. Mosley Jones?
Dr. Kelly, this is kind of a follow-up to what Mr. Smith asked you earlier, and I know I've been in several several of the meetings with you about the partnership zone and the options that Dr. McQueen has given us, which is basically what you said, the ASD, or to consider the exploration of the partnership zone. And you did mention in your response to him that you did not think that the ASD would, well, you thought the ASD would be worse for our community, and I too agree with that. But can you tell us what about the partnership zone, even though there are some things that we know that we all would like to negotiate or try to get the higher, I guess, bigger stick on, can you tell us why you feel the partnership zone would give us more opportunity than the ASD? That was a long question with it, I'm sorry.
That's okay, that's a good question. One, and one has been, and I've listened to the teachers, one is the concern of the teachers and the administrators wanting some stability. So if we go into this for maybe multi-years, that brings some stability and that doesn't send panic to the schools about, well, will I have a job? The other piece is this one where we're looking at working with the existing staff. And so you're not staying basically all of the administration gone, and you're only going to maybe look to retain 50% of the staff. So, and here again, the staff that we have in our schools have made special relationship with the students that we have. Classic example of that. Back when we had the tragedy at Woodmore, that very next day we were open and we had some students to come. We could have easily had that building to empty out on us. They did not. And the reason that Woodmore did not empty out, and the reason that Woodmore was still an ongoing school, is the relationship that those teachers and administrators have with the community, with the students, that they send them back, and the enrollment is actually higher than what it's been in some of the previous years. So if we have the ability to keep those people in our schools that are doing a good job, that doesn't mean that everybody's doing a good job, but have to look at them and be with the ones that are not. But the majority are doing a good job. I feel that allows us the opportunity to not just go in and say, overnight, the entire administration is gone, and overnight, we're gonna lose 50% of the teachers. And so a lot of our students connect and engage with certain people within the building, and they're vital to the community, and I feel that that's something that we need to continue in order to make those schools better. I hope that gave you a little more explanation of it.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Would you take 4 or 5 minutes, or whatever you would like, to either give a summation or ask questions you would like of us?
Okay, in terms of, I mentioned sort of briefly in the introduction, love this system, and when there was a need, I felt that there was a need for me to step up. And let me sort of go back, and if you recall, when we were going to the interim superintendency, we only had 3 people to apply. We were not that highly thought of, maybe. Now, as we went through this process, you've had several applicants, good applicants that you're looking at, had over 700 that maybe have expressed an interest, and that's the turnaround that we have been able to make in the time that I've been here as an interim. My position to go in as an interim was to not make it be a shipwreck, but to make sure that we had a good foundation that we could grow on and build upon. And so I think that piece has been done. I appreciate everything that you all have done, and keep in mind, this has been a month-to-month contract, and to my knowledge, you all have not came in an uproar saying, let's move them out, but allow this administrative team to continue to able to actually get a permanent superintendent. And so, wanted to actually step up and provide experience and be able to pull people together within the community that had expertise in certain areas that would really help make us better. And I think that has started, now we can see some dividends from it, that we got people reinvesting in us. We got Volkswagen investing in us. We had a visit from the Gates organization. The president of the United States program for Bill Gates, Alan Golston, actually made a visit here. So people are now beginning to relook at Hamilton County. And one of the things that you can recall in some of the meetings that some of you were in with, even with the commissioner, is indicated that Hamilton County now has a will to be innovative. And so that's what we want to do and continue to move forward. So in my closing, it was the desire to actually step up in a time where there was need and do what could be done to make our system stable and even to put us in a better place than when I actually went in. So that was really the desire for me to, as an interim and as a superintendent, my desire is actually to move us even further. We still got some growth and some improvement that we can do, and I feel that as superintendent, will be able to lead us in that direction. That's going to make us a much, much better system that we may be able to see a year, 2 years, or 3 years down the road, or whatever time it may be that I would be able to be the superintendent. So in closing, I appreciated working with each and every one of you and trying to address all of the needs that you've had. We've had some issues that I've been told that we could not get them solved for years. And we've been able to get them solved in a very short time, such as the expansion and land for the soccer field is going to be in Ottawa. Issues that we've been able to deal with the bank. Being able to bring in the other municipalities to be able to get additional support, such as what we're looking to do in East Ridge. Looking out for the underdog student who really needs some help that we're looking to do with an additional adult high school are already being able to start with or without additional funds, the start learn and earn program. And actually being able to work and create a situation that gives us an opportunity to avoid our schools going into the ASD, which we all seem to feel that may not be a best option for us. So all of that has occurred, and I want to really be a part of actually moving that forward. So that's really where I'm at, and so my heart's really with this district. I've been in it all my life, and so I have a desire to be a change agent for this district and to make it better. So that's pretty much all I have. I don't have any questions for any of you all, but if you have any additional questions, I'm welcome to address them in the remaining time that we have.
I believe that's it. I believe that's the time, is it not?
It is.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Kelly, very much.
Thank you, Dr. Kelly.
Thank you.
Guys, we've got about 8 or 9 minute break here.
Smith, she used to sing that God Bless America before the Flyers hockey.
You don't wanna hear me sing, trust me.
I'm probably one of the few people in this room that know that Philadelphia has a hockey team. They wouldn't know that.
Oh, I know that.
The Flyers?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're.
How about those Predators?
I like oh man, don't even get me started. Love it, loving it.
When I grew up in South Texas, I didn't know anything about hockey.
Yeah.
Went to school in Missouri.
Not really a hockey state, is
No, I
it?
went to school in Missouri and roomed with 3 guys from St. Louis. This was the late 1970s.
Oh, okay. Big Blues
They
fans.
took me to the old St. Louis Arena, and we sat on the top of this deck. You can't beat in-person hockey.
Yeah, yeah.
You can't beat it.
Oh, I grew up going to the Preds games and loved it. Love it.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
I did make it to all 12
Good.
on Saturday.
Wow.
Yes. Friday night I had an incorrect copy of the schedule, so I.
It was
Yeah.
incorrect. But I was really fun with it. Read by District 5.
Apparently there were a couple of them.
There were, because one of them was Jill was singing, the next one, it said, nah. I thought that was so good, and I don't know which one.
The final version I got was the right one, which I was thinking about. 'Cause I did, and I sat down and I had everything perfectly worked out.
She was
in
about
what
to
order
go.
so that I could make it to all of that. And I spent so much time figuring that out and then being wrong. I was so angry for everything, but then it all worked out. So I'm very happy. Very happy.
I saw you and I was like, you mean give me eyes? She's like, yeah. I was so nervous.
Yeah. What did you see me doing? Well, she hates us, so
Yeah.
it's all good.
But I think we bonded. There was a little bonding moment.
Oh yeah.
It's like one of those like friends
I'll
who
be
have like
sure
best
to-
friends because like you did somebody together.
Interject my own opinions, but
Good
piece of candy.
I'll be sure to
Water.
have a close-up shot of her.
Really thirsty.
What you do is you go through, you check the battery, it was one time.
Oh yeah, just be like, check the mic. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, and then grab the
That was the one time I was.
Oh my god, I
Thing
really
is, you
want.
gotta do it, you're just gonna be smooth and do it.
Yeah.
And even after I sent that.
I really want some coffee. There's no smooth way about. I mean, I did do it last week.
Do it again.
I batted my eyes.
Guys, we got 1 minute. Yes, ma'am.
Thursday morning, off to school.
Yes.
One person.
Folks, get ready. We're going on countdown here.
Every year.
We need to get that door.
Me?
So Thursday morning.
Oh yeah.
So it's all in your email.
You'd have to be.
To be the chairman.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hello,
Oh,
Dr. Gadsden.
yes,
Sherry Ford, how you doing?
I'm well, how are you?
Doing well, thanks. I'm gonna turn it over to Dr. Highlander, our chairman of the board.
How are you, sir?
I'm well, thank you.
We're very happy to have you on the interview, and we have some people who had other problems and could not be here, but Ms. Thurman from District 9 had a grandchild event she had to go to, and I'll let the start of District 2 will go on.
Hi, I'm Kathy Lynn in District 2.
Mr. Smith, would you introduce
Joe
yourself?
Smith, District 3.
Wake up.
Tiffany Mrs. Robinson has out-of-town business, she is listening in, but we'll have comment for you, and District 5.
I'm the school board member for District 5. My name is Caritza Jones.
District 6, Joe Galloway.
District 7, Joe Wingate.
District 8, David Tester.
And District 9, Steve Highlander, Executive Service. Okay, if you would please, we would like.
I'm here, I'm still here.
I thought, wow, we've already said very my goodness, what have we done? So, no, we're very happy to have you, sir. If you would, give an introduction and what you'd like to say about yourself and why you feel like you would be qualified and would enjoy being superintendent of Hamilton County Schools.
Most definitely. I'm Timothy Gaston III, a natural teacher and leader. I was born in Daytona Beach, Florida, to Timothy Gadsden Jr. and Betty Gadsden, and I'm the grandson of Alberta McLeod. I have familiar roots in Tennessee, Georgia, and Alabama. And while many people in my family did not complete high school or even attend college, education was always stressed in my family. I'm a first-generation college goer, and I just wanted to make sure that I lived up to the expectation of my family that I receive a quality education. My grandmother had to drop out of school in what would be considered now middle school to help her family financially. And I share this because when my grandmother received important documents, mail, and others, she would ask me to read to her. And one day, she asked me to read to her, and I told her that I couldn't. She asked me why I couldn't read to her, and I told her it was because I couldn't read. And of course, my grandmother scolded me, and she told me that illiteracy wasn't a funny matter. She told me about her story of having to drop out of school and why she needed me to read to her. And because of that story, it's one that I'll never forget. At this point, I'm a reading and endorsed certified teacher. My grandmother told me that I was destined for greatness, and I've lived each day striving to live up to those words. I'm unapologetic about holding my colleagues and supporting them accountable for young students for college, career, and life. I'm currently the executive director of curriculum in schools and superintendent designee with Robbinsdale area schools. And I have more than 23 years experience as an educator, serving as a teacher, assistant principal, district administrator, chief transformation officer, that school turnaround, fancy word for it, an adjunct professor, and a member of the superintendent's cabinets. I'm vying to be the next proud superintendent of Hamilton County Schools because I want to be an integral part of the healing and restoration in Hamilton County. I believe through adversity we grow strong, and with several recent challenges, Hamilton County Schools will rise better and stronger than it was before. The work needed to help Hamilton County move forward will allow me to tap into my core values and many of the attributes that I possess. My goal, like yours, is to ensure all students succeed by giving them skills and resources that they need to be productive citizens in society. In short, I believe Hamilton County Schools can become a world-class urban school system, and I want to be the superintendent that ensures this happens. Mayor Coppinger recently acknowledged that the community continues to have a negative view of the Hamilton County Schools. He stated, "It's been that perception, I know, for a decade." To be able to turn around schools is going to take a lot of people, he said. At the end of the day, people have to be willing to invest in education in the county. I'm willing to invest my tax dollars as hired and my time to make Hamilton County Schools a premier educational institution. All children deserve our best every day, and I believe the students of Hamilton County are truly worth it. One of my sayings is by Nelson Mandela. He says that education is the most powerful weapon which can use to change the world, and I believe that deep in my heart. I want to share that my strength finder's strengths tell me that I'm strategic, a learner, a ranger, futurist, and an achiever. And I know these strengths will help me as the next superintendent of Hamilton County. And I just want to share a couple of objectives that I want to make sure I meet in this interview. I want to explain how I'll communicate with board members and work earnestly to build your trust and respect. I saw you put your hand up.
You got 1 minute on this, please, sir.
Okay, 1 minute. Okay, and my belief in being a strong, present superintendent and working to make sure we move the work forward, my experience with strategies improving student performance in underperforming schools, strategies to boost graduation rates, how I address student behavior and discipline, my experience managing budgets, my background with exceptional student education, my commitment to excellence, equity, and accountability, and how I expand the professional capacity of others. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Yassin. Sir, we will have, in the first round of questions, question and answer will take 4.5 minutes, and I will give you a finger up, one little finger wave for 1 minute left, and I'm sorry I did not do that first. Forgive me, please, sir. We will start with questions with District 7, Mr. Joe Wingate.
Dr. Gadsden, thank you for being with us. You mentioned something, just a second ago. I actually had a different question, but when you threw this out there, it triggered this for me because this is really important to me. You mentioned that you have expertise in addressing student behavior and discipline. One of the reasons that I ran for this position was that I struggle with the culture and the climate in a lot of our school buildings. And in my opinion, it's because we've let the culture and the climate of the community at some point in some places infiltrate the school walls. Tell me how specifically you go about addressing and trying to create a culture and climate that's more conducive to learning.
So I truly believe that where there is no discipline, there is and cannot be any learning. And so what I would do is I would study the work that has, benefited your district in any way in reducing the number of discipline infractions. I would study that because it's important that we replicate success. Then I would meet with focus groups of stakeholders, including teachers, school-based administrators, school resource officers, parents, and students to discuss concerns about discipline in schools and classrooms. I would plan and develop with key staff a framework to address discipline concerns. I believe in restorative practices, and we would look to see if we need to update district policies, student handbook, and better utilize our alternative education sites and other resources to remove students from classrooms and buildings in the hopes of having those students to work back. Sometimes we need to provide more intensive support for students to help them reflect and realize that their behavior is a problem, remediate that behavior, and return those students. But ensuring that administrators understand district policies around those more serious infractions, looking at level 1 infractions, sometimes suspensions result for level 1 infractions, and we kind of cause students to escalate when we are targeting those level 1 infractions. So just making sure folks are trained appropriately to deal with student behavior, ensuring students have a voice, those focus groups with students, making sure staff is trained to properly de-escalate student behavior, properly handle physical altercations in buildings. As I said, preparing alternative education staff to properly handle students that are referred, making sure we train bus drivers to be vigilant in transporting students. Those are the first people students see, and sometimes the tone is already set when that student gets off the bus. That results in behavior as those students going to school. So not forgetting those bus drivers and helping them to be more customer service oriented when dealing with students. Properly using surveillance cameras and others, and just working on social emotional learning. PBIS, as I said, I believe in restorative practices and helping to bring that into classrooms in Hamilton to help students reflect on their behavior and then restore what they have done to others in the building. I believe discipline should be a learning process for students, and that's the way I approach discipline.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir. Dr. Gadsden, Mrs. Tiffany Robinson has a work out of state, could not be here, sent a question for you. Her question is your work, in your work in the Robbinsdale area schools, you developed a birth to 12th grade graduation plan. Tell us about that plan and what worked and what you saw that did not work.
And so far I've been in Robbinsdale for about 10 months. I implemented a high school graduation plan in Atlanta because I supervised the high schools there. And now I supervise the K-12, actually pre-K-12 continuum in Robbinsdale. So I expanded that plan. And what I've done is work with research and evaluation to create, and we've implemented an early warning system around academics, behavior, and attendance to look at what some of the early signs are of students not being successful and being able to address those warning signs early, intervening with those students. Also, each school, high school, is responsible for developing a dropout prevention and retrieval plan. The success around that in Atlanta was we used social media and help wanted posters to find students who had previously been coded in our schools as dropouts. We found that they were actually in other states and other places and were still in school. And social media and contacting their friends allowed us to find those students, so we were able to do records cleanup. The 5-year graduation plan focuses on policy changes and innovation that we need to make to provide flexibility, looking at educational alternatives for students, developing strong family engagement, focusing on the way we collect and monitor data so that we make sure we get our students through to graduation. We focus attention on the transition because career college ready actually means that students transition at each level ready for that level. So students transition from pre-K ready for K, transition from 5th ready for middle school, and 8th ready for high school. That is true career and college readiness. We are providing rigorous academic programs for all students. That's in our plan. Providing academic supports for those students who need more supports through extended learning opportunities. Providing middle school students with access to career exploration, and also elementary students looking at what they want to do as they move forward to high school and college. We're encouraging our students to take additional courses in math and science so that they are competitive as they're applying for college, and they can apply the field also if they choose to go into career. We're partnering with employers and our technical and community colleges to provide students with early access to college and early access to work. And then, as I said, we provided dropout recovery for students through virtual programs to support students that need a more flexible schedule to remain in school. And the last thing is we focus on that junior and senior year, making sure students make informed decisions on what they want to do after high school. And so because I've been in Robbinsdale for 10 months, we have not seen anything that has not worked yet. And in Atlanta, the plan was extremely successful. As you can see on my resume, in the first year implementing the plan, we boosted the graduation rate by 12.4 percentage points. And in the second year of the plan, we graduated even more students than in the first year.
Thank you, sir, very much. I'm Steve Highlander, District 9. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Yes.
He's anxious to go.
Yeah. Dr. Gadsden, David Testerman, District 8. I really feel we need someone that has a broad experience. And in this county, we are suffering from a lack of funding support from our local body and our state government. We are in a crisis mode right now, a lack of community belief that we're doing a good job. And it bothers me when I look at your resume and I see in the last 6 years you've been in 5 different systems. Tell me, how are you going to change that perception where we need a strong leader, someone that has skills that are going to be in this community to see us through these stormy times that we have? How can you do that?
Well, thank you for asking that question, because I know it will be taught after if you had not. What you will see is each move that I've made has been because of increasingly more responsibility and promotion. you will see that in Milwaukee as Chief Transformation Officer, that position actually ended because it was grant funded with the transformation firm, with the race to the top dollars and SIG grants. So that position ended. I happened to be presenting at a conference and was recruited to Austin, Texas. And I did some work there, helped to boost the graduation rate, increase student achievement. The superintendent there actually accepted a superintendency in Atlanta and asked me to transition with her because of the work that I had done in Austin for her. And actually, I'm in Robbinsdale because the chief academic officer there offered me a promotion and asked me to move to Robbinsdale when he accepted a superintendency there. So my transitions have been for promotions, have not been because I was seeking jobs. I feel each of those jobs has prepared me for the superintendency. You will see that I have experience in large, medium-sized, and small districts. And I believe that it's so important to have the experiences to support the work that needs to be done as a superintendent, and each of those opportunities has prepared me well for this experience. But I assure you, the transitions were not because I was pushed out or because I was looking for a job. It was because I was asked to transition because of the work that I had done in other districts.
Thank you for your answer.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thanks, sir. Steve Highlander, District 9. I'm sorry I jumped in a minute ago. I had another question, and I may get to it on second round, but you have, and really a quite broad and varied group of presentations and publications that you've done, and you alluded to the fact that you have been a conference speaker and presenter and in demand for that. Would you, if you come here, would you think you would have time for that? And how could you answer that financially for yourself?
I would say in the first couple of years, because I've done my research and I know where Hamilton is, that's not something that I would want to do. I've aspired to be a superintendent for a while, and I want to devote my time to doing that work well. And so some of those things that I enjoy, getting out and networking and presenting for others, I'm able to do that easily in the district where I'm superintendent and not have to travel anywhere. I have a ready audience where I am superintendent. So I would not be looking to do that.
Thank you. And if I can get a second part, since that's very short and brief, is that all right, Mr. Moderator? Sure. Also, how do you feel about working with school boards? And you'll be making a lot of position placements. If you're chosen, how do you feel about partnering with the school board and listening to us and give advice about specific districts and the county as a whole?
So I'm going to answer this question the only way that I know how to. I'm from the South as well, and I'm very direct. The board is the superintendent's boss. And so it is very important that the superintendent know and understand that collaboration with the board and partnering with the board is a requirement of the job. The board sets the direction for the district in collaboration with the superintendent, and the superintendent's job is then to work to carry out that day to day. And so that's the work that I would be doing. I think it's very important to have a trusting, meaningful relationship with the board that involves effective communication, involves notice when decisions are going to be made, when possible getting advice from the board collectively on the direction that the superintendent needs to go in. And so I say all of that to say in short that collaboration is what I know to be expected of the superintendent working with the board in a trusting, viable relationship.
Thank you, sir. Well said. District 2?
Hi, Dr. Gadsden, Kathy Lennon, District 2. How are you this evening?
I'm well, thank you.
If you're named superintendent of Hamilton County Schools, what measures would you immediately put in place that the voices of teachers are heard and respected? And what role have you played in your career in negotiating a contract between teachers and the Board of Education?
So we have the great honor and privilege to touch our futures every day, and that's touching our students and teaching our students. In every role that I've been in, I've remembered that I'm a teacher first. And I truly believe that, and that's the way I carry myself. I honor the work of teachers and the work that they do with our students every day, because they truly are the heartbeat of the district. They are truly closest to the work that we are in the business of doing. So I would speculate, and actually heard that you already have a teacher advisory committee. So I would make sure that there's representation from each school on that teacher advisory committee. That allows me to hear the voice of the teachers in every school that I will be leading. I believe in having a professional learning advisory committee because teacher agency is very important. Again, having a member of teacher on that board, so we're tapping into teacher expertise, and teachers are able to lead professional learning in our district. You'll find that you're able to save a whole lot of money, not bringing in consultants and others, because you have teacher experts right in the field, right, to deliver that professional learning. So I honor that. I would make sure that I'm visible in schools. I would make sure that I'm holding teacher chats and town hall meetings on a regular basis, so those who are not on those advisories are able to come and have time with me and tell it like it is, and make sure I know what's happening in a building on the ground. I would build a strong relationship with the president, and I would make sure that I'm meeting with the union leadership at least monthly, so that I keep my pulse on what's happening with the teachers. In curriculum selection, I would make sure that teachers are involved in that, because again, they're closest to the work. And I would end with that, making sure I'm involving teachers at every turn when possible, because they are truly the ones who are most closest to that work. And to answer the second part of your question, my experience on in negotiating a contract, I actually served on the negotiating team in Palm Beach County with 178,000 students, and I'm on the negotiating team in Robbinsdale as the superintendent designee.
Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
Thank you. Number 3, yes, ma'am.
Dr. Gadsden, thank you for being with us. The pessimist would say that we got a lot of problems. The optimist would say we got a lot of opportunities. And I'm confident that you've probably done some research with regard to our, what I prefer to call opportunities. What do you see some of those opportunities?
I see an opportunity to have a significant impact on student achievement. I see opportunity to build trust in the community and restore that trust. I see an opportunity to help the public understand that they are truly our customers and that we're there to listen to them, and that they are able to share with us some of those low-hanging fruit that will allow us to restore that trust, because we can address those low-hanging fruit very swiftly. I see communities wanting to leave the district, and a part of that is because of that trust issue. So I see an opportunity for me to get out and board members to get out and really listen to those communities and assure them that we are working hard to rebuild that trust and to make sure that they are a part of our district. I also see an opportunity to build lasting relationships with the mayor and commissioners so that we get the funding that we need for our schools. It's very encouraging that the mayor has recognized and said that there is a need for more school funding. So I think that is a great opportunity there, that he has at least acknowledged that. I see an opportunity for us to address this deferred maintenance issue by helping the community to see decisions that were made in the past that were a priority and why maintenance was deferred in those buildings, and ensure that there's a plan moving forward that we won't continue to perpetuate that doom cycle. And so I see also the potential, if I'm the leader, to really get in and work with Dr. McQueen, because I really want to push, with my experience in school transformation and working with that firm, my ability to lead those 5 schools and really ask that if I'm the new superintendent, it says that the board has decided to go in a new direction with a proven turnaround leader and plead to keep those 5 schools in the district. I see that as a great person. And I'll end with that.
That was a great ending to that question, that statement. It's actually going into my question. So, Dr. Gaston, I represent 3 of those schools that need that turnaround. Grew up in that neighborhood, still live there, and I work with a lot of those kids in the community there. And so it's very dear to my heart that those schools turn around, because their history was not of such.
Yeah.
So I know what they can be. So with that being said, and your resume does speak very highly to your experience with school transformation and school turnaround. I also saw in your speaking engagements and consulting where you do that type of work as well in that arena. What would be your plans to address the current issues of achievement gap in our inner city and our priority schools? And I guess, can you talk a little bit about some things that you've done, because obviously you've had some experience with some best practices that have given you the ability to aid in turning around those schools and increasing the graduation rates there?
So I'm very well versed in continuous improvement models. And so that's where I would stop. School improvement planning is so very important. Schools have to plan for the results that they want. I don't believe in hope being a strategy. And so often we see that happening in districts where hope is the strategy that they're using. So again, as I said, I would immediately negotiate with the state commissioner and share my background and the results that I've got. I would ensure that there's standards aligned instruction in all of our schools, that teachers are using very effective strategies to instruct diverse learners, and they are using differentiation strategies to meet students where they are and move students forward. I mentioned differentiation because it's important that you deal with all learners on the continuum, those struggling learners and high-end learners, to continue to move them forward. Use tests and other information on student performance in instructional planning. I would target math and literacy instruction, safeguard instructional time. There are too many interruptions in buildings that take away from what our students need to be doing. You use research and data to improve teacher practice that would inform the professional learning we would need to do. I believe in high expectations and high help. And that means we don't lower our expectations for students, but we scaffold and provide them with the support that they need in the buildings to move forward. I would work with medical, social services, and community agencies to develop a community school model where we screen children early. We offer medical and social services. We engage in family outreach. We support students with mentors, tutors, peer support, role models. We provide extended learning opportunities beyond the school day. We establish family centers in each school, and then we hire staff from the community that speak the languages of our students. I would create a supportive culture for teachers and leaders because they need support in doing that work. Have courageous conversations to make sure that as we plan, we're planning for equity and access. I would take personal responsibility for those schools, name them superintendent focus schools or superintendent schools. to make sure that I'm coordinating cross-departmental teams to support those schools. I would look at the effectiveness of the people, the leadership in the I-zone right now, and make changes there if we need to. I will continue the work that you all are doing with business partners adopting those schools. I will hire district content support specialists that would then be able to go into the schools and train teachers and leaders for the turnaround work that has to be done. I have many other strategies, but I've got the 1 minute warning, so I'll stop here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. District 6?
Yes, Dr. Gadsden, Joe Galloway, District 6. I'm gonna pass on the question around. You've given us a lot of information of things that you've done in a short number of questions. I appreciate that, and you talked about discipline, which is one of the ones I was gonna ask. So I'm gonna pass it and see if someone else has another question this time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Gadsden, Joe Wingate again. Is this a 2 minute round?
This is a 2-minute round, sir.
Okay.
In Austin, I see that you supervise the operations and staff for the high school environment there. And one thing that's near and dear to me here, it says directing, supervising, and evaluation of high school principals. When you are looking for a leader of a secondary ed building, what particularly are you looking for? What do you value when it comes to a high school principal?
So I value an instructional leader. And I value an instructional leader because an instructional leader is one that is able to take that student data and understand that it's more than just numbers. It's actually students and those faces that are represented there. I would want someone that is able to reach out to families and help families understand how students and parents are active in the learning process and engage them. I'm looking for someone who would be able to tap into community resources and utilize those resources in the school building. I'm looking for someone who understands school improvement and continuous improvement and would be able to implement a strong strategic school improvement plan. I'm also looking for a leader that understands that poverty and zip code shouldn't be barriers or say that students can't achieve. I'm looking for someone who is going to relentlessly work at improving teaching and learning through professional, job-embedded professional learning. I'm looking for someone who's highly inclusive, understanding that special ed students and ESL students and all of those students are included in the building. I believe in excellence for all and achievement for all, and I'm looking for a leader who understands that expectation. I'm looking for someone who's reflective, can self-evaluate and understand his or her challenges and needs for improvement.
Thank you, sir. Steve Highlander, you hit my next question at the tail end of your comments there. What have you done to ensure the inclusiveness of special needs students in the past, and what would you hope to do or continue to do here?
And so I'm a certified special education teacher. So special education is one of my certifications that is near and dear to my heart. But I would stress the expectation that all students should be career, college, and life ready. I will review the last compliance audit for exceptional student education and ensure that students' IEPs are followed. Students who need to be in the least restrictive environment are in inclusive classrooms getting the support that they need. I will make sure that IEPs are written appropriately and are standards-based. I would make sure that all teachers have copies of students' IEPs and that they understand the students' accommodations. I would partner with teachers and parents to listen to what they feel is not going well and what we need to do as a district. And I would make sure that if our processes aren't tight, after I learn what's going on there, that we tighten them up. And so there are several things that teachers can do in the classroom, like modeling for students, making sure that they are providing sensory opportunities for students, giving positive before negative, going from the simple to the complex, and chunking instruction for students so that students are able to get it. Also having students to partner with peers. The best teachers are student teachers. So having students to teach one another. And so I'll stop there.
Thank you very much. Lincoln District 2. I'm sorry, Mr. Desmond. I'm sorry, Mr. Desmond. I took you out of the original list. Your time, sir. You through? Okay. I do apologize.
Dr. Gadsden, what are the three most significant components that make a school system successful? And what role does the superintendent play in facilitating the achievement of these components?
So I'm gonna cheat a little bit, but I'm gonna put it in 3 chunks, if I can deliver it. I think valued students and parents are vital to a successful school district. What I would do is ensure a guaranteed and viable curriculum, actively and honestly engage parents through clear communication. I would motivate, inspire, and partner to make sure that they know that we are very serious about their education. Effective leaders and teachers are the next. I would be visible on campuses, build professional capacity in those people. I would provide the support they need to do that work on the ground. I would include them in decision-making, clearly communicate with them, and actively and openly engage them. And lastly is a positive and trusting relationship with the board and the community, because that makes everything possible. And there I'll be visible, transparent, clearly communicate, actively collaborate, and listen and learn. I will seek to understand before I seek to be understood. And so I'll leave it at that to be concise.
Thank you.
Mr. Tester, would you like? Okay. Mr. Smith?
I'm always interested in how all the candidates feel about the kid that goes home at night and daddy's in prison and there's no food in the refrigerator and mom's in the back with her boyfriend smoking dope, and you want me to concentrate on algebra in the morning. So let me hear your 2-minute talk to help me understand the value of getting past that and focusing on my education. So you have a lot.
Yes, I have a lot, and I'm gonna do it in 2 minutes. First, we have to ensure an ethic of care, and an ethic of care is grounded in student voice and building effective relationships with students. That's first and foremost. You have to address the students' basic needs. Some of our students come to school hungry and others are needing clean clothes. You have to be able to help address those basic needs before they can even move into the learning arena. Hold high expectations for those students while providing high help. You've heard me say that over and over. Don't lower the expectations, but provide the help that student needs. Tap into wraparound services. That's so important, and you heard me talk about that in the community school model that I would set up in partnership with various organizations in the district. Cultural and linguistic responsiveness, tapping into students' interests. Just really amplifying those students' voices, being visible in the school and talking with those students myself. I believe in inspecting what I expect and focusing on the whole child. I know you all were talking about arts and others. Research shows that students who are meaningfully involved in curricular activities do better academically. So making sure that students have choice for those programs that they are able to participate in beyond the school day.
Okay. 6.
Yeah, I just want to thank you for you give very thorough answers, and you just said something about accountability with inspecting what you expect. I appreciate that, Dr. Gadsden, and I
Yes,
thank
sir.
you for being here with us today.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna do, any of you have, we have a little bit of time left. Does anyone have another question they would like to add? Dr. Gadsden, thank you so much. We'd like to offer you a 4 or 5 minute, either summation time or questions you would like to ask us, sir.
Most definitely, I will choose both. So you have a very important decision to make, and I know that you will consider what's best for the district and students, and I know that you don't take the decision lightly. A strong and trusting relationship between the board and the superintendent is vital in this work. The question before you is not who the superintendent is going to be, but that first question is it time for Hamilton County to go another direction under new leadership or maintain the status quo? If the answer to that question is that it's time to go in another direction under another leader, I'm the innovative leader, the transformational leader that you need. This is a defining moment in your history, and you have to make the right decision. It's so critical. I pray that I've helped you to understand my passion for urban education and my ability to improve the educational experiences for students and outcomes for students in Hamilton County, and that I will stay put if I'm hired for the job. I truly do believe the children are our future, and that it is incumbent upon us to teach them well so they can truly lead the way. In short, I'm vying to be the next proud superintendent of Hamilton County because I know the students there are worth it. It is a moral imperative to educate students in this country so they are able to contribute productively to the well-being of the country. And Hamilton County is a microcosm of the country. So we're preparing the students to better the economy and better their lives. I will leverage the relationships effectively to benefit the district and do the work that is needed for the students, staff, and the community at whole. I believe in a culture of accountability, and as I said, with high expectations and high help. So I'll stop there, and I'll ask you a couple of questions. What is your expectation for the relationship between the board and the superintendent?
Anyone like to address that?
I'll address it. I think the expectation from this board would be a superintendent that values and respects the board members as they represent their districts, understanding that this is a very diverse county. One of the things that I think is a challenge, but also an opportunity, is that right now in this county, I believe the distance between the haves and the have-nots is greater than it's ever been. And so I think that in order to close that gap, we, I think, have recognized as a board, and I hope it's been evident to our community, that we are willing to do whatever we need to do to address that. And I would hope that the next superintendent recognizes that need and values our input, but also is a strong enough leader to believe in what they believe in and be willing to stand for those things and lead. So.
Excellent.
I think you used a term that is dear to my heart, in collaboration. And we each have our roles, and the superintendent has his or her role, and the board has theirs, but it is imperative that we work together, closely together. And
Yes.
that's what I think all of us want to do. Our board has come together, and we want to continue to come together even more so in the future.
Most definitely. And so I'm interested in hearing from you, because I know you've heard from staff, parents, and others. What would you say are some of the critical factors impeding student achievement in Hamilton?
The factors, could you repeat the question, please, sir?
What are some of the critical factors impeding student achievement in the district?
Ms. Jones?
I know in the eyes of, well, in several of the areas, but I know for sure in the I-zone areas, the community, we have a lot of, deserts in the communities in that the population of those schools come from. So there's an economic desert, there's food deserts, there's socioeconomic situations are very drastic, kind of like when Mr. Smith was talking about, my dad's in jail, you know, it might be a grandparent raising a grandkid, a great-grandparent raising a grandkid, a big brother raising his little brother. I mean, the socioeconomic statuses for which those children come from, even in some of our other areas, the rural areas mimic that as well. So you're dealing with a lot of situations like that. The way, as we've become the best town ever in the gig city, a lot of the concentration has went to the downtown area. So our core is, the gentrification has kind of killed the core of the city. I don't want to say killed it, but it's decreased in a lot of ways. And so there are a lot of issues there. So they're dealing basically with socioeconomic factors that they walk into the school with that then affect their academic abilities. You know, they don't have, a lot of them are very smart children. They're coming from very harsh situations. They have a lot of baggage. Kind of like a daddy came in at the grocery store. You know, that's what you're getting. And so I can say I know that's what you're getting is the socioeconomic status of the children. And the psychosocial and the social emotional situations that they come from are affecting them academically.
That's true.
So that's what they're dealing with.
Anything else, sir?
Well, I'll ask you one other, because I know you all have a lot that you need to do. And so what I will ask you is, how do you use policy governance to provide clear guidance and direction to the superintendent so that he or she is able to be effective?
It's a very good question. We have a strong set of governing regulations, and we have an attorney who keeps us informed, and we have an assistant superintendent who also keeps us well informed on that. But it's been pretty effective. The policies are pretty clear. We've got a couple of things that we need to update and grade right now. We have tried in the past, the state has certain mandates that we issue, and we have started getting them and trying to implement them as soon as we can. We implemented a new suicide prevention policy this year. We've done anti-hazing and bullying policy, and you know, of course, we would obviously want our superintendent, whoever he or she is, to follow through on those and all the other regulations. They're pretty clear and spelled out.
Yes. Well, I thank you all for your time and the pleasure to meet you all, the privilege to meet you all virtually. And all I can say is I'm praying for that opportunity to meet you in person so that you can see the man behind the camera.
Thank you, sir, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All righty. Have a wonderful evening.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Well, guys, 5 o'clock Thursday. Are we here?
Here.
In here.
Yeah, because we're.
That's right. We have another, that is, we will be in here at 5 o'clock next Friday.
Thursday.
This coming Thursday. 3 days from now, in this same set.